We anticipated making 30 on it, so that was how you had your breakdown, but it ended up being 40. Because when we bought that house, remember, we thought the most it would sell for, we were going to be stretching for 220, and we got 255. Now, we did go over budget a little bit, but we definitely recouped all that cost.
Right. Yeah, $2,050,000.
Okay.
So the payoff of $844 after commissions and closing costs, we'll walk away with $1,146,000.
Not a bad 5 months. 224 Bonnet, 4755 Liza, Lysa.
There's a lot of paperwork, and this is actually clean for Dan, but we have files and files just alone. This is our insurance file. A lot goes into all of our properties.
Yeah, I mean, I love what we do, but who knew that we'd have, you know, job folder after job folder. I mean, look how thick this damn thing is. Well, I'm just glad you're here to keep me organized tonight.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm Dan Tollins, investor, contractor, husband, and father. My wife Cassie and I have always had a dream of growing an investment business in properties throughout the cities we love. If you know Charleston and Wilmington, these markets will support it. This is Coastal Chronicles. Sometimes we buy properties sight unseen, and this property we're heading to is actually one that we did. We didn't even see it till after we bought it, but we had to run through it and analyze, you know, what exactly it needs. But for the most part, you know, when we're going to check out property, we want to see, does it back up to a railroad track? Is it underneath large power lines? Is it on a busy road? What does the neighbor's property look like? Some areas are flood zones, some are not, but we want to make sure that, you know, when you walk in the grass that your foot's not sinking into it. So those are some of our key factors of what we're looking for. It's a hot zip code in Charleston right now, so we went ahead and jumped on it. Yo, check it out. Let's go see our latest masterpiece. This is easily our biggest flip to date.
Yeah, and we were able to sell it without even having to put it on MLS, just by another agent finding out from somebody that's in my network group, and they were able to bring us a great offer.
Well, let's go see what it looks like.
When we first purchased the property, it was really hard to see past all the cellar stuff because they were close to being hoarders. I mean, there was so much stuff in here. This one, as you can tell, we put a lot into the woodwork. Went back with a lot of the gold, the rose gold fixtures, again, just to give it that soft look that people want.
As we come into the living space, this house, we didn't really change much of the structural floor plan, but there were two supporting beams here that we would like to have just taken out, but we had an engineer come out and tell us basically that this carries 2 more floors of load on here. And actually when we took those out and put in 2 new steel beams, this had actually sagged over 1 inch. Remember that? Mm-hmm. And so they had to jack this up to get it back to where it needed to get to, put the steel in, and then we were able to just, you know, case it all back out.
Going back to what Dan said, a lot of people think, you know, you can take out a wall or put in an LVL. However, with this particular project, we actually had to bring the engineer out and make sure that taking out those beams would be able to support the floor, the 2 floors above it. So once he confirmed that we could do that, then we had to obviously find the metal, which, you know, right now, again, finding material is very hard to do. And then afterwards, we were left with 2 holes here from the beams. So our floor guys then came in and they were able to patch these floors, and then we had them sanded and stained. I feel like making the profit that we did on this one, it was, you know, we always do a project right. Having licensed contractors, you know, getting permits in place, you know, those things are very important. And then at the end, we're able to profit like we did on this one.
She wants to talk a lot because she got to design this whole house. Now she's gonna hold it over my head because this is the one we made the most money on. Isn't that right?
That's right.
She was the admin, the receptionist for the HOA company that we work for. And for me, I was walking into a totally new work environment and getting out of the construction side of things and getting into a desk job working with 8 or 9 other females. So I was the only male in the office.
He had asked me out a few times. I was like, no, I need to stick, got my kids, got my job. Well, it's funny because our office, what we didn't realize was that our office was setting us up the whole time. The office would be like, hey, a happy hour. What's funny about it is that we'd all get a happy hour and everybody would leave within 10 or 15 minutes of their first drink and leave us there.
We were both, looking for, somebody to hang out with and somebody to kind of just talk about what we were going through. And we'd already been there, done that, as far as all the pettiness and all the other BS that you go through. And so what's made us be successful is that was how we met. And then, when we started dating, just kind of continue bitching and moaning about work after hours. And so that kind of carried on, and here we are 15 years later, and I wouldn't have it any other way. The feeling of kind of going out and stepping out and doing our own thing was nerve-wracking, because at the time, Cassie was pregnant with our now 13-year-old. And so leaving that steady paycheck, which even though it was only $400 or $500 a week, it was still $400 or $500 a week.
Dan had, got different contracts, and so I would help him with those. The person you would see out there cutting the grass or cleaning toilets was me and Dan. We started from the bottom. Dog stations, picking up dog poop. That was us changing that out just so we can make it past that first year.
We actually started a handyman business, a punch list business, and we ended up linking it with a guy that I went to high school with, and said, hey, he reached out to me and said, hey, let's have Cassie come hang her license with me.
The way Cassie and I met was a pretty cool story. She went to a random bar in a random town in North Carolina, and my dad, who lives in Ohio, where I'm from, he does a yearly golf trip, and he came down to Myrtle Beach, where they come, and on the way down, they stopped at a place in North Carolina. It happened to be the same place that Cassie was, and somehow they talked, and he told him that my son is a realtor in Charleston, South Carolina. She said, no way, I'm a stager in Charleston, South Carolina. And at that same time, I happened to reach out to a realtor friend because my stager quit staging, and I asked who he uses to stage, and it happened to be Cassie. So, things just linked up, and, after that, we just kind of talked more and more, because we had that, weird scenario with my dad and her, and then it just clicked, and we said, hey, let's work together.
And he said, hey, I got an opportunity here to flip a house. Why don't we flip a house together? I said, all right, this is 6 months later after successfully handling the punch list stuff and getting houses closed for folks and not having any issues. So we built that level of trust again with folks. And so he said, hey, why don't we do this together, just you and I? I'll bring the money guy to the relationship, you bring the labor to the relationship. And then we flipped it in 3 weeks. We both made like 17 grand, and was like, I like this. And so he said, that's the fastest flip anybody's ever done for us. Quality of work was phenomenal. And so we started, building that team again. We went from doing, one flip at a time to 5 to 10 at a time. And so in order to do that, again, it kind of reverts back to, having the right resources.
There's 3 things that you have to kind of have in order to really be successful at this. And the first is capital.
Sometimes we'll self-fund. A lot of times we'll use a hard money lender. It's very relationship-based. It's all asset-based.
Have that money guy ready, because most properties, all of a sudden you find one, guess what? It's going to go under contract, I guarantee, if it's a good price, in less than 2 hours, 4 hours.
And so we built a network of folks that's all they do. They wholesale properties, meaning that they'll find a property, they'll get it under contract, and then they'll sell that contract. They will assign that contract.
Isn't on a main road. Never buy anything on a main road. Unless it's dirt cheap and you're really gonna make some money, or you don't mind it sitting for an extra 30 days, because it might take that special buyer to come around.
What's the ARV, which is after renovated value? And then you also gotta, figure out what your carry cost is gonna be.
Don't go and buy a house and say, I'll find a contractor. I spent 6 months finding the vendors and finding everybody that we would use, and that's the way to really kind of do that. If you have all 3 of those things in line, then you can really be successful at investing.
But before all of that, you got to figure out your funding.
Yeah, I'm not talking about
flips
hometown, I'm talking about coastal. You're doing your cash through hometown.
Yeah. We had 2 or 3 we picked up thinking would be a great long-term, and that's not really our model right now.
And what's going on with the 5 lots that I funded? That was for Carolina coastal, right?
So that goes to planning end of the week, and then they'll tell us whether it all fits or not.
You try and do 5.
Yep, and we're gonna hang
Do
on
you
to
get
all
5
those.
with driveway in the back like we had talked about?
We're going to probably split it and do 3 and 2. We'll do a little stress test to see how it does up
They'll be
first,
like
but-
shotgun 2 stories?
Yeah, a little 16 feet wide.
3
40
twos.
Yep, 2.5, yeah.
3 2.5s. And there's no ordinances there that can mess with you?
No.
You've checked that
Yep.
out? So when do you think you'll get permits for that?
Next 60 days.
All right, give me a heads up.
Yeah,
Remember, we're gonna have to do 4 or 5 separate loans.
yeah.
Typically, we do ACHs because there's no cost on either side.
We got the spicy.
This-
That's me. There's no fees on either side.
Yeah,
Let me tell you a couple of issues that come to mind. Number one, I don't lend in Carolina right now. It doesn't mean I won't, but the laws there are not great for the lender. I got so much business.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
I can't go to a lender and say, hey, I need you to do this at 7%.
sure.
I could probably get someone to do it for 2 years, but it ain't going to be at any discounted rate.
Well,
Does it meet your model to do it at my rates?
Well, the answer to that is yes. There's a couple different ways to look at it. So, we could raise private capital with somebody else and give them equity in the deal. You and I have a great relationship, and I think, if you're going to look at doing something in a different market, I think we're a pretty good candidate for that. And I think you also agree with the Savannah market as well. So, I think there's just some things we need to work through. But, if you're willing to do it, we can get all the data you need and everything.
You get me on the data. How much do you know about what the number is?
The original number was 1.6, but we're taking out 300 and something for some cabins, and plus we're putting in about 500 ourselves. So it's somewhere.
About $1 million.
Yeah, roughly.
Wait, so you talked to some people about doing an equity?
Yeah, I
They all want a big chunk, don't they?
Yeah, and the big chunk just doesn't make sense. We've done all the work, we've done all the research, we found the deal, we've got the financing locked in.
Welcome to private equity, buddy.
If you look on the internet or talk to other investors, all of them hear horror stories of flipping one deal at a time. It's just, you fail on that deal, you're done with, right? So the deal is you get 5, 6, 7 houses at a time, okay? You flip those at the same time and your margins are a lot better. And so that's kind of the way to really succeed at it. And that's what we did, is we came into this and we didn't just start with one house. We literally bought 10 houses within our first 30 days. We had the idea of bulk flipping is what our goal was. And that's really the best way to do it. Because again, if you miss on one deal, right, you're done for. But if you got 6 deals, you miss on one, then hey, you still got 5 others you make money on.
Absolutely, I'd be happy. Can we do 10 days? Can we wait a few days for that?
My name is Jenny Honeycutt, and I'm a construction defense litigator. The most successful contractors out there know how to manage their risk. And my job is to make sure after the fact, if there are issues, that we can resolve those.
All right, thanks so much for your time. Talk soon. Bye-bye.
I've known Dan since middle school. We grew up in the same neighborhood and swam on a swim team together, and have been friends ever since. And actually, when he got married to Cassie, she was a home stager, and I had had my house on the market for quite a period of time. It was not selling, and when she started her home staging business, we asked her to come in, and we got an offer within a week. I would say in construction, generally, the most important thing is those people who are actually doing the work and making sure that you're hiring somebody who is skillful at their trade and conscientious about their work. And yes, those are the type of contractors I don't normally see in my line of work. You've got to have the right people in place to help you manage your risk, because ultimately you are responsible for that project. And if you are building a house and you are upgrading it and you are putting it back on the market, There are a lot of pieces and parts that you better be paying attention to, or you will end up in front of a lawyer like me.
As you are giving a credit for the portion of the year, the taxes for the portion of the year, which you have owned the property. Okay, so that's that number there. So if y'all are good with that, I'm gonna have y'all sign off on here, and then we'll move to the seller CD, which will have the same information, and y'all have already seen that. We are also paying off that first mortgage there, and you are netting again $1,138,996.26. Figured y'all don't want to hear that again.
Yeah, beautiful day to be
And-
a millionaire.
Well, he's my best friend, and we enjoy it. We have a great time together. Like if something were to happen, I would just be like, I've had a fantastic life because of him. It's always an adventure. It's never boring. You stop listening to me.
The reason I do this is to create more time for myself. The two things I love in the day are dropping my kids off at school and then picking them up in the afternoon. It's been fun for us because, like I say, we don't get tired of this. We're able to just work so effortless together. It just makes it that much easier. This is not just your simple everyday flip, right? We just come in and do new lights, new paint. One of the challenges we face was the guy that started this job. He just ghosted us, just went MIA. So all hands on deck trying to get us to the finish line.